Hi, Dr. Naina.
Hi, Jyotsna. Nice meeting you
How are you?
here.
Nice meeting you too. I hope you're free now from your
Yeah,
various duties.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, Jyotsna.
Okay, no problem. I just wanted to quickly just introduce everybody that you're back with me on Table Talk with Joe, and this time we have a very different topic inside the world of IVF and surrogacy with somebody who's been involved in this field for the last 35 years. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation with Dr. Nayana Patel. She is at the Akanksha Hospital in Anand in Gujarat. It's a city that is synonymous actually with surrogacy, and they're just in an evolving scientific world and in a world that seems to have shut down with the pandemic. I have plenty of questions, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation. But before I just go ahead, I'd just like to tell you all that tomorrow we're focusing, in fact, the coming week, we're focusing on education, the CBSE, the class 12 education policies. So do join me for that as well. But like I was saying, Dr. Nayana Patel, she is a pioneer in the field of surrogacy and IVF. And I'm very, very excited to have this conversation with her today. Dr. Patel, I know that I want to speak about your personal journey in just a bit, but first I'd like to really ask you, because unfortunately all our conversations these days revolve around COVID, there's no escaping it. Uh, there's a lot of confusion about the vaccine when it comes to families who are looking to start a family, or who are contemplating it. And the question always remains whether it is safe to take a vaccine, or whether it is better to just delay having a family. But of course, I mean, when you see so many COVID babies happening, I'm not sure that's quite happening as well, right?
Yeah, so I would suggest that all those who are planning a baby should go ahead and vaccinate themselves. There is no harm in getting the vaccine. But yes, the Covaxin and the Covishield are not proven during pregnancy so far. So if they are taking the Covishield, the gap of 4 months, whether to keep it or not, because I think they can take it in 1 month's time also and go ahead and start the pregnancy. But yes, I would advise to go ahead and take the vaccines.
So, is it then really safe for pregnant women also, and those who are breastfeeding at this point?
Breastfeeding immediately post delivery, you can give it. There is no harm. In fact, if it goes in through the blood to the breast milk to the baby, it's going to help the baby. Okay, but when you are pregnant, that is the time when Pfizer and Moderna are considered to be safe, and our vaccines that are available over here, the Covaxin and the Covishield, are not still proven safe. And that's why there has been a request made to the government that we should get at least these two vaccines, Pfizer and Moderna, for our pregnant women, because that will help the pregnant women a lot. Because the second wave, we saw that the women who were pregnant were affected very badly, and the outcomes were not good. And even the babies got affected, which was not there in the first wave. First wave, in fact, the pregnant women like were immune. Hardly they got it, and even if they got it, they sailed through very smoothly without any complications to themselves and the baby. But the second wave hit the pregnant women the worst. You could see
So,
them out of antibodies, the babies, and babies suffering the MISN, and the pregnant women going through a very bad pregnancy delivery. And we have also seen mortalities.
with pregnant women.
Yeah, with pregnant women.
So when you say that they've also been hit very badly in terms of symptoms, otherwise, what kind of symptoms did you see that were different from the first wave?
The fluid, the liquor around the baby went down. There were preterm deliveries. And the preterm delivery means really, really preterm. At 6 months, we could not stop the labor. The baby's growth also got restricted. And if the mother was badly affected, then we had to take a decision to deliver the baby earlier to help them, to help save the mother. And eventually my mother may be not saved, and the baby also may not be saved. So these all, in fact, dropping amniotic fluid liquor came like the first indication that, okay, she might be going towards, the first report could be negative, and immediately 3 days it will be a positive report. And after that, the delivery post cesarean also, the mother, they had COVID some 4 months back, and they are delivering now After that, you also see the antibodies in the babies, and the baby is getting MISN, and the mother again turning out to be positive. So these type of picture is going on, which is
So when you're talking about babies getting MISN, this is newborn babies, right?
newborn babies getting MISN, multiple organ, all
Yeah.
affected with infection because they have a lot of antibodies from the mother, which has passed on to them.
So what, I mean, in case we don't, as you've said, you've asked the government for Moderna and Pfizer, but if that doesn't come through because it doesn't seem to be in the pipeline right now, what's the way forward for these women?
Look, there are trials done after 26 weeks of pregnancy. The Covishield, AstraZeneca, has been tried in UK successfully. And India, they've tried after 18 weeks, and the reports are now coming out that it's safe. But during the organogenesis, that is the first 14, 16 weeks, we do not want to risk the mother and the baby. So we don't vaccinate them during that period at least.
So
But I
it's
have a
been
patient
no, sure.
after 10 dose of vaccine, and I didn't tell her to terminate because there is no literature saying also that if you give this vaccine during the first trimester, the baby is going to be affected. So you don't have a reason to tell them that you will go and terminate.
It's a bit of a conundrum, right? Right now, you have to play it by the day as things go, and of course, at some level we also have our termination deadlines. You can't go beyond that. What happens if confusion and if issues crop up after that?
Look, our job is we counsel the patient, the advantages, disadvantages, and finally it is the patient who will take the decision. Definitely we do the hand-holding and advise them what is correct, but ultimately it is their choice. Like somebody conceiving after 10 years, spontaneously, naturally, would not want to terminate that pregnancy under any circumstances when there is no evidence.
Of course, of course. So, the last 2 years, of course, to a year and a half, they've been very challenging. So, has it affected things? And, I mean, in terms of people who've been contemplating going for IVF or surrogacy, has it, have things come to a standstill?
I would not say a stencil because infertility is a semi-emergency. But yes, we ourselves, like a third party reproduction with egg donation or surrogacy, we were taking it very, very cautiously because nobody knew what could be the. But when the first lockdown came in, I had about 100 surrogates with me who were pregnant. And the couples could not even cross the border interstate. Forget about couples coming from Dubai or USA who had Indian passports. And that was a nightmarish situation for us because we had to take care of the surrogates, them not getting infected, so many living together. And the babies got delivered one after the other. We cannot stop that also. And the parents craving for that baby, some after 20 years, some after 12 years, could not come virtually to see the babies. All we could do is in the afternoon, 2 to 4, we had the neonatologist and the pediatricians do a video call to show the baby to the parents. And the oldest one was for a couple from Pune. They could not come in because of the severe lockdown, and the cases go up to 3.5 months. The baby was 3.5 months when they came and saw the baby. Till then, we took care of the baby. And there were a number of such babies, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. We took care of them, took care of the surrogate. And it was a huge responsibility, I would tell you. And
Sure.
fortunately, we sailed through very successfully and nicely. And then came the second lockdown. So yes, during the first lockdown, the cases of surrogacy and egg donation went down. But the couples who needed infertility ventured to go ahead with the treatment. Some of them were scared, yes, if they had it or their family had it, but otherwise they started trickling in and came back to the full. I would say by December, we had a lot of cases of IVF going on. And again, end of March, it went down.
Okay, so there was a question already. Is it safe to plan IVF during these COVID times? I may as well take the questions as we go along.
say that yes, if you personally, both the couples have not had COVID, if you had COVID, I will tell you to wait for 2 months for your body to recover, or 3 months, and the eggs and the sperms to get back to normal. But if you have not had COVID, you have not been sick, there is no reason to postpone your treatment in this time. You can go ahead, and we have done treatment, and healthy babies also born after the first COVID when we did the IVF.
So was there any one incident that, in the last year and a half where you felt completely helpless and, it just wasn't in your hands?
One was this helpless when we had to take care of the babies and the surrogates, and we were scared that one surrogate should get COVID, otherwise it will spread. And the other was when I had to face a patient who is from a village and have done IVF after 35 years of married life, and the wife was pregnant. And we get a call that she has got fever and she has got a little bit of headache and body ache. And we immediately said, come over, we need to do your test and we have to rule out COVID. The moment they heard Corona, they just disconnected the phone. And we knew this is going to be disaster. We requested them, we'll come, we'll check. There's nothing to be afraid. Take the treatment at the right time. But they refused because from the rural background. And ultimately, 5 days later, they get her, and she already was breathless, was admitted to a government hospital. 22 days later, her C-section was done, the baby survived, and the mother passed away. This was because of the ignorance and the scare of Corona and COVID. And we felt so helpless. They refused to come, they refused to do blood test or COVID test, or refused to get admitted. Till
What
it
do you
was
do?
like,
What do you do in situations like this? I mean, it's impacting rural India now, right? The kind of and the fact is that it continues to. I mean, the way we've seen that people are not even going around cremating family members, or families have been died of corona in that family. How do we even handle this?
education and awareness. Now the awareness of IVF is there, but the education regarding COVID or Corona, they think it's a big no, nobody could have it, and they would want to hide it and not tell anyone. It's like a stigma to suffer from COVID or Corona, rather than accepting it and starting the treatment at the earliest, which is the right way to go. If you start the treatment as soon as you feel that you are having the symptoms, rather than delaying it, the results are fantastic. The recovery is very good. The problem is when you delay it.
Yes, and the problem is the whole thing of it's not, you don't, and also acceptance. Acceptance is a big issue in our rural life, but I mean that's a conversation for another day. I want to now speak about you for a bit, Dr. Naina. It's been a 35-year-old long journey. You're considered a pioneer in this field. Tell me something. How did you get into this field at a time when I'm looking back at 35 years? I have to say that it's not the way it was now. When IVF is very common, you're hearing about so many people who are having children through surrogacy, whether it's the celebrities or normal people. How was it at that point when you started?
When I started, I would say IVF almost, I started preparing it from 90, I would say 93, 94. And that time I would say Anand is a very small town with a population of 150,000. Now it's almost 300,000, 3 lakh. And I had people who used to laugh at me and say that in such a small town, it has not been successful in metros also. It's a thing you can do it abroad. India can never have a good IVF. For me, if I had to get a double distilled water, I had to go to Ahmedabad. Drugs would come from Mumbai, and the connectivity, cell phones were not there. So it was very, very difficult in that time. And people used to laugh at me, yes, that she's just trying it and it'll never happen. But I tell you that the determination with which we started, and early morning before my obstetric and gynec work start, we would finish at 5:30, get up and finish the IVF at 8:30, just cost to cost, because we also feel guilty that if we are experimenting, we should not charge the patient. And then when I got the first result, it was like, okay, the patient had both the tubes blocked and I got a pregnancy, and that's my IVF, and I was really thrilled about it. And gradually it got an acceptance, and those doctors or those colleagues who were laughing at me accepted that yes, IVF can happen in Anand, and now we have 7 centers in Anand. Surrogacy, I would say that even I was not for it. I never thought I'll go for surrogacy because I didn't feel comfortable with it, that how can somebody carry and give the baby? But then when I saw that this grandmother surrogate case, if you know,
Yes.
which I did it, that was the first case, in fact, of surrogacy which I did it. Because this girl was not born with a uterus, she had MRKH and she had lovely ovaries, a beautiful girl. And she was married to somebody in UK. And they were advised surrogacy there, and they could not find a surrogate there or found it very expensive, whatever. So the husband was ready for a divorce, but the in-laws were really good and they said, no, we will help you. And they searched for a surrogate in India and could not find one. This is in 2000, 2002, 2003. And they approached me and I said, I'm not comfortable, but if you find a surrogate, somebody in the relative, etc., I'll do it for you. And then the mother got ready and convinced because it was her daughter's marriage which was at stake. And she agreed that I'll do it. And she had 2 other daughters. She felt that no, my other daughter's life should not be jeopardized. They are not MRKH. I said nothing of that will happen. We'll come out in the open and tell everyone. And we did it. And these lovely twins were born, who are now almost 18 years. And that very moment I decided that this is a good thing to do. It has saved so many lives and it has brought such beautiful kids into this world. And then I got the commercials because of its publicity. I got a lot of couples approaching me and a lot of women also approaching me. They want to do surrogacy. And that's how I think I got into this. And each case made me feel good, that at the end of the day, I know what I have done is good and there's nothing wrong in it. I myself got convinced, and then I started convincing people, society, and all those colleagues, all the society who used to see it like something of disgrace started accepting it. And now you know the scenario of surrogacy in India and in the world. The acceptance is high.
Yes, but I think at some point it reached a stage where, we had to ban commercial surrogacy. Even now, I think the Union Cabinet has cleared in 2020 a new surrogacy bill, but it's pending, I think. Um,
The
are
Rajya
we
Sabha.
do Yes, it's pending there. And have we done enough to protect the surrogates in this sense?
What I feel is that the strict rule, non-compensation, is not going to help the surrogates, but it will increase the exploitation, because then there will be a lot of underground surrogacy. Anything where there is a demand, there is no supply, you know what happens, black marketing and underground surrogacy, which will be the worst thing. Rather than that, whatever recommendations have been given by the Parliamentary Affairs Committee, I think they are looking into it and making it a bill which is going to be very conducive for the surrogates as well as the couples, and they've taken care of the well-being of the baby also. So in my opinion, the bill should be there, but it should be soft and not very stringent.
So putting ourselves in the shoes of a surrogate, it's a bit of a conflict for some of them, right? I mean, on one hand, we will say that they have the right to decide what they want to do with their body. B, I mean, a lot of them are looking at it for, financially for their families. And yet, the kind of exploitation that we worry about.
Well, look, to be very blunt and open, I tell you, Jyotsna, that any and every field in this world will have exploitation. Any level of a female, I know. It is there, whether it's India, whether it's any other country, it's going to be there. Okay. But when we are talking about surrogacy per se, I feel it's not an exploitation, because this woman gets a chance to do something for someone which is going to change their lives, and do something for herself and her family and change their lives. And now I have experience of almost 18 years, and I get surrogates who bring their daughters to me for checkup and say that doctor, because of this surrogacy, I have 2 houses, my children are married in a very good place in society, and they have not to do surrogacy, but see what I have done. And it's all because otherwise I would have been nowhere. And that makes me feel that, look, her life is changed positively. And if there was exploitation, why would it change positively? If she was not happy with it, why would she come and proudly say that I have been a surrogate and it's a life-changing situation for me that I did surrogacy? So it's how you look at it and how they are treated. Yes, some surrogates may not have utilized the compensation they got in the right way. But if they are getting compensated for the work they are doing, I don't feel that it is something wrong that they are doing or they are being exploited. Because that female who needs surrogacy, it's not just that they do it because I want to do it. They go through a long journey before they decide that I need a surrogate. Any woman would want to carry her own child wherever she may be in this world, you know. But she's helpless. She doesn't have uterus. She has fibroids. She has tuberculosis. Her body is not accepting it. And that is the time when she comes as a last resort for surrogacy. So it's, I
And what,
think, a situation.
tell if you can, share some journey of a surrogate, who's come to you, the kind of dilemma she may have faced. Do you have any stories like that to share?
Of course, I have. I have this very distinct memory that there was a surrogate who, her husband and herself, both had gone to the railway station to commit suicide. They had 3 daughters and they had some debt to be paid. And the people who had given them money were harassing them a lot, trying to take away the wife also. And this is a real incident. They went to Anand railway station to commit suicide. They could not jump in front of the train, so they bought a poison bottle, and then they said that last meal we will have it. And in the railway station they ordered some doklas, and it came on a newspaper. And when they were eating it as their last meal, they read about my article on surrogacy. And the husband said, the surrogate gets paid 3 lakhs and we need just 1.5 lakh. Why don't we go and meet this doctor? And they threw away that poison bottle. They came to my hospital. I guided them. They became a surrogate for a doctor couple from Mumbai and delivered a baby. And their lives changed. They gave away that debt. And even now they come and meet me. And this is one incident which I feel that where was the exploitation? The couple was saved, their 3 daughters saved, and just an article on surrogacy made them change their situation, their mind, and come to me and do it. So such incidences do make me feel that yes, this is a way for certain women to help themselves and their family.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but as we stand right now, within India, foreign couples are not allowed, and we also we have a category only for needy, couples. But isn't it very easy to just slip through those cracks? Needy is a very, I just say it's a very fluid terminology.
Look, there are certain criterias given that, okay, you can have this. There will be loopholes. There will be couples who would want to do it for convenience, but they should be counseled against it. But supposing you go for IVF and you know it's not 100% success, and 7 cycles, 8 cycles you have tried, it has failed, 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 failed. Finally, I think the woman would want to go for a surrogacy to get her own child because she has tried enough. Needy is not just the word. They've mentioned all the indications, medical indications. But yes, as you said correctly, there will be ways to get around it and get a surrogacy done for convenience. That can happen anywhere, yes.
That can happen anywhere for anything. Tell me, what kind of trends, what kind of changes have you seen in this field since you started off?
Well, since I started for IVF, I would say the couples were not ready. They thought that IVF is the last thing, and if it fails, we'll never have a baby. It's very expensive, it's very painful, and counseling and explaining them was a huge task. Now what I feel is that the awareness has increased. Even the young couples, they would come and say, okay, try 1 or 2 months a simple treatment, but then give us the IVF. People are not now like IVF is the think that only we do it if it fails. They know that, okay, if we want to have a child early and faster, we should go through this route. That is also wrong, I would say. But there are couples who come. So the awareness has come about this. Awareness about surrogacy is also there. Now the couples who used to hide from their family come with their family members and say, the mother-in-law will bring the daughter-in-law and say that she needs surrogacy, go ahead and do it because that's the only way. So in a way, the awareness has increased, but with the increasing of awareness, yes, I would say overuse and abuse is happening of both the treatments, IVF and surrogacy.
I think someone's saying give more highlights on surrogacy, please. I think that's a very wide question to ask. I don't know how Dr. Naina is going to answer that one.
I can just say that scientifically, it is the procedure where you create the embryo of the couple. You may have to use a donor egg or donor sperm if that is a problem, but the embryo is created, and that embryo, instead of transferring in that infertile lady, we put it in another lady. That's the surrogate, and there is a contract done. Once the baby is delivered, it is handed over to that infertile couple, and in return, the surrogate gets compensation. That is the surrogacy procedure, which is mainly indicated for females who are born without uterus, like 1 in 4,000 women are born without uterus, or they have fibroids, adenomyosis, tuberculosis, or some cardiac or renal condition where they could not carry a baby, immune disease. And these are and multiple abortions, multiple IVF failures. These are the females who would need surrogacy, and with the surrogacy, they can have their own genetic child.
So, Dr. Naina, I'm going back to IVF. Tell me, is there still a stigma attached with it, or do you think that there's more acceptance of it now?
I feel that there is more acceptance to it now. The people only have a fear that IVF is never 100% sure shot. So they feel that we are taking a loan or we are spending this much of money. What is the success? And as soon as we say it's 35%, 50%, depending on each couple, they are really a little worried about that fact only, that we spend the money that we have saved so far on just an IVF treatment. But other than that, the people are accepting the IVF treatment, and the families also have started accepting. And even the rural area, they come and say that test tube baby is the treatment that we want. So the acceptance has increased. But if you want the statistics, India needs about 14 lakhs IVF cycle a year, and we have reached only, based on the population and the infertility profile of Indian couples, we have only reached up to 2.5 lakh cycle a year.
Okay. And the numbers are a bit daunting for now. And so, given that we're a very male-dominated society, we continue to be that. What about women reaction, society's reaction to women who are not being able to have a child? Has that also changed? That's
still there. Rural India, urban India, patients who are IAS officers and still suffering because they cannot carry a child. I've got lady IAS officers who have cried in my office that I'm an IAS, I'm married to this person, but my in-laws want a child, otherwise they'll throw me out. So that this stigma is still there in India. Come what may, I don't think it's going to change unless we change the culture from the roots itself.
And that's going to take a lot. It's a crying shame, though, that we keep wanting to move ahead, but we're not trying to give respect at the basic level to the women. It's just I don't know really how to say that, but there was a lot of talk about fashion surrogacy a while back. What's your take on that?
Well, there are celebrities who feel that they would not want to carry a baby, and it's easier to get it through surrogacy. Their career is not affected that way. I would say that these females are missing out on this motherhood. The journey of pregnancy and delivery is an experience. No male will have it, and the female who has experience would know that it's such a beautiful journey of 9 months and the delivery and having that baby. So if I were asked, I would definitely discourage them that don't do it. Your career, if it is important, even baby and motherhood is important. So you have to sacrifice that. And I see a lot of celebrities delivering also right now, carrying their own child and
Yes.
delivering.
Yes.
Yeah. So they should understand from that it's not just that you give it somebody to take the baby, because 9 months that baby is going to be in somebody's womb. And we know that your thoughts, your food, your drink, whatever you do is going to affect that baby which is unborn inside. And that, that communication with your unborn baby starts from there itself. Why do you want to give it to someone else to do that? It's
You're
trusting your.
also, no, absolutely, absolutely. I agree with you. I mean, unless there is absolute reasons for it, like you said. Tell me something. The other thing you've been focusing a lot, Dr. Naina, on is on lifestyle when it comes to fertility for both men and women. How important is it?
Very, very important. I think if a proper lifestyle, proper diet habit is there, everything, it'll change. I think less and less people would remain infertile in India. It is this environment pollution, the junk food, the electronic gadgets. The couple are there in the room, but they are not physically with each other. They are on in their own gadgets, looking at the WhatsApp, social media, etc. The habits. I mean, I would say that alcohol is not good at all, tobacco chewing, everything. And then the distant marriages, both occupied in their careers, they do not focus on this, and they delay pregnancy. They feel that it's not the right time, it's not the right time. And we know that the Indian females biologically age 6 years earlier than the Western counterpart. you know
Amazing.
the eggs of the Indian female get bed by the age of 34, which is not so. Like an Indian female of 34 years has the eggs equivalent to a 40-year-old abroad. So it is a very worrying thing that Indian female should start planning a pregnancy earlier than later. At least freeze your embryos if you have a partner or a husband, or freeze your eggs, so that when you really want to have a child at 38, 39, 40, your eggs or embryos are there and you can conceive. Otherwise, you may miss the bus and you will have to go for a donor egg. That is the scenario.
And you're also seeing a lot of these issues amongst men, fertility issues.
Fertility issues with the men, especially those who are obese, those who are working in a center where they have a night duty, and the circadian rhythm is changed. They
Yeah.
stay awake during night and they sleep during the day. Stress, very fast life, then the junk food, alcohol, drugs all come into the picture. And IT people, I see a lot of
Oh,
them. Yes, the
interesting.
software. Yes, they have all got very low sperm count. And that's why it's said that Bangalore, Pune, and Hyderabad are becoming hub of infertility treatment.
Oh, I learned something new today, Dr. Naina. We can continue with this conversation, but I am unfortunately running out of time, and I have one last question for you. I mean, you've been at it for so long, and during the COVID, things have been very, very challenging, I'm sure, for you as well. Now, once you come out of this, what is next for you?
Next for me is again something very interesting, back to the basics. I'm thinking of how the basic lifestyle which we had when there was no such rise of infertility can help the infertile couple now if we apply it right now. And the second thing is the regenerative medicine that I'm looking at, and a research. India can do a lot of research. We don't have
Yeah.
the patient number we have is not seen abroad. And unfortunately, there is so much less of research or hardly any research coming out from India. And if we all come together and do this, we are sure that we can give a breakthrough research to this world if Indian scientists and Indian clinicians come together with the support of the government.
Fantastic. Great words there, Dr. Naina. Also, I hope along with that, uh, the women get a little bit more respect as they go forward, trying to, live their dreams. Always a tough one in our society, but you've done plenty for the women, and really appreciate that. And thanks so much for taking the time out, Dr. Naina. I know that you've been very, very busy. I'm sure it's, I know it's COVID, but as we spoke about this right in the beginning, the challenges are very different at this point of time, and no less challenging in a sense, perhaps even tougher. So I wish you all the very best, and may you keep saving all those lives that you're saving, and giving birth to those fantastic other little lives. My pleasure to have you with me on Table Talk with Joe. Thank you so much for joining me, Dr. Naina.
Thank you, Jyotsna, for having me.